Welcome, good evening to another Big Freakin' Friday show. I am, of course, Moen, sitting here in the beautiful city of Miami. And this is Bomber,
It
sitting in
is.
the not quite as beautiful city of Provo.
Yes,
Um,
not far. Pleasant Grove, but I'm close.
but go ahead, Nate. You wanted to say something before?
Yeah, so I have some family stuff I gotta do tonight. My mother's not feeling very good. So I am going to be checking out here as soon as my wife walks in the door. But I wanted to stick around and make sure you guys know I was thinking about you. Lots of news and stories out there. If you followed Peek Around the Corner, Greg Flugar's show, he covered some stuff that's happening with Florida State and legal things. There's really not a ton of news there, but there is some new stuff that the guys are going to go over, and I'm really looking forward to listening. I'm going to be listening to them on my drive out there for about a half hour, so that you guys got to keep them on their toes.
Keep us on our toes. Keep
Yes,
us on our toes.
yes, exactly.
Big freaking Friday. Nate, glad to see you and everything. And we got a good show on the docket for everybody. We're talking about Big Ten tier lists. Big freaking 10. We're going to break it down. Mona and I are going to get in the details, break that sucker down. I'm excited for it.
And I got something special for this Big Freakin' Friday show. A big freaking
Oh my
bottle.
god!
That's a big
Holy
freaking
cow.
crown bottle.
That is pretty good.
Mm.
I don't even
So,
have. That was huge, Moan. You better not drink that all night.
look at it. There we go.
Hey, Moan, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech. Is
Georgia
that
Tech.
organic enough?
Oh, I have to open it first.
You look fly tonight, Moan. Seriously, look at
I
that.
know this is my Mo and Vice outfit.
Oh, man. Good look.
It's like I got a two-handed.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Hey, is that a special reserve right there? Whoa, man, that is a
That is
massive
a big
bottle.
bottle. That is a big,
Is
big
that a liter?
bottle. It's like a gallon to me.
I think it's 1.75 liters.
Gotcha.
That is ridiculous.
That's a little bit of the Ohio State tailgate lot right there, Nate.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's true. I'm sure.
They used to have a little
Didn't know
hole
that.
in the bottle. They used to have little handles so you could just tip it like that. But
Right.
apparently they got rid of that. They got rid of the ease of access handle.
All right, that's sweet. I also just really quick announced we did a couple interviews today. I interviewed John Canzano. That interview was fantastic. We're going to put it together so you guys can all understand how that went. But we went bare knuckles. I asked him some questions point blank about the Pac-12 and everything that happened with that. So I'm going to set the stage. You guys look for that. That's going to be premiered when, Moen?
We've got the Canzano one is premiering on Sunday at 8 p.m. before Moan After Dark at 9.
Okay. And then what's the other one? Remind me what the other one is.
The gentleman from Utah.
Yeah, Dick Harmon. Sorry, yeah, Dick Harmon, Utah legendary sportscaster, knows Utah and BYU. We talked quite a bit about that, little holy war, but more about where schools that aren't in the A2, what these schools are going to do to survive. How does Big 12 stay relevant? Stuff like that. So, and then I think you guys have some TCU announcement news too that came across today. So big news day for Big 12 people. If you're a college football fan, stick with us because there's going to be some announcements coming up on shows, and we'll go from there.
Let's do
Sounds
it.
good.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Have a great night.
Take care, Nate.
Trouble.
See you,
Peace
Nate.
out,
Take
everybody.
care.
All right, Moen. Big 10
Yep.
tier list. We're gonna get into
You
that
wanna-
though in a minute, right? We're gonna
Right.
jump right into the Big 10 tier list.
No. We got some news to handle because at the stage. Paul Feinbaum, everybody's favorite lizard person, has said that Florida State appears to be the most likely candidate for the next phase of college football realignment. But should the Seminoles make a run for it, college football analyst and lizard person Paul Feinbaum doesn't believe the Big Ten would be interested, and it's because of an academic issue. I'm not convinced that they will want Florida State, Feinbaum said on his show. I know Florida State thinks they're heavily in demand, but there are some questions about exactly what they bring to the Big Ten. They don't fit the Big Ten model. Feinbaum added the Big Ten, I believe, other than Nebraska, has highly accredited schools, and I don't think Florida State really qualifies for that. I noticed he did leave out Oregon there. That's another
That's
one that's
exactly
not a
the
highly
point.
accredited school. But what did you think about Feinbaum's comments?
I am shocked that he'd say something like that. I mean, if you look at Florida State's academic rankings, they're actually very good. Certainly top 100 school, top 75 school. Much better academic school than Oregon, as you had mentioned right there, and Nebraska. So it's hard to make that argument that they're going to get left out based on academics when you just brought Oregon in-house. I don't know how you can make that argument at all. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, Florida State, we've talked about this a lot and we'll continue talking about it. Like, they are such a strong candidate, ratings-wise, football-wise, brand-wise, fan base-wise. I mean, Florida State has one of the biggest freaking fan bases in the nation, right? Like, just it's nuts. Like, Florida State fans love the Seminoles. And academics, again, like, that's an approving academic university. It's already good. It's getting even better. Research spending is increasing too. The only thing that they don't have is AAU status as of today, but they're working towards that, aren't they, Mon?
Yeah, they've put a lot of money into research and development in the last few years. I think they have a plan to reach AAU status. They were very close on the last go round. So, look, that brand is not going to be trumped by the fact that they're not AAU. It's a huge brand. It's a gigantic brand. So
what's Feinbaum's angle with this? Like, what's the end game?
I think Timothy Green has it right in chat here. You do know that Feinbaum obviously said that because he wants Florida State in the SEC. And then Mr. Monkey says follows that up with, is Feinbaum just a Sankey puppet?
He is a Sankey puppet, exactly. Yeah, it's probably nails. I mean, Florida State to the SEC. You know that ESPN's interest in that. I'm curious though, in the long term, if Florida State, they're fit for the SEC, but does the SEC really want to go after the Noles? Big Ten, I think, clearly does by getting into new territory and everything else. But do you want to upset some of your constituents in the Florida Gators by going and getting the Florida State Seminoles and bringing them in-house? So really, I don't know. I mean, that certainly could be. I just, I'm not sold on that fact. That
we
Florida
have a new
State
member.
Really is a shoo-in for the SEC. Yeah.
Yep, we have a new member here. Rick Tungade or Tungate. I apologize if I butchered that name. That's one of the things I excel at. So thank you for becoming a member, Rick. Let's give you a little sounder here.
Oh, hot, 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 hot.
Thanks for becoming a member of the College Football Mafia.
Yeah.
When we're done with this show tonight, by all means, go check out the members only section. Catch some of our videos, our mowing rants, our Wild Ute Universities. I think you'll enjoy some of that stuff. So, and leave us some feedback. If there's something you'd like to see, by all means, we love getting member feedback.
Absolutely. And welcome to the family and the membership family and everything. We've got a lot of those videos that you can go reference. We dig into the details here on this channel. We love talking realignment. We love talking college football. So really dig into those. Some of the Wild EU videos, you're going to get more information you probably ever bargained for, honestly, in those and everything. And you can make your own determination based on what the data says. It's not all about the data, but do not omit the data when it comes to this kind of stuff. And Moen, I got a question for you, okay?
Yeah.
Question for you before we do some shout outs to everybody here in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, thinking about the next Wild EU episodes and considering doing a video based on a model that was developed on potential Super League candidates. What do you think about that?
I personally don't believe in Super League, but by all means, you are the dean of Wild Ute University. I am merely a professor laureate, so that decision will fall on you.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like it's such a divisive topic and everything, and it's many years away. But I am so curious on really what that could look like in the future, what the advantages of that would be, what the disadvantages, and really diving into that conversation without just saying, "Oh, it's going to happen," but really looking at why it could happen or why it might not happen, and really who's in. Who's in? That's going to be the big question, right? Who's in? And so I think that that answer of who's in, if it ever does happen, is pretty clear based on set criteria. So that's probably the next shoe to drop. Get it's divisive. We'll see if we want to put that one out. I know that I might get killed putting that one out. But still, I think that it's valuable information to kind of see at least and see where within the P2 realm, who is probably the most elite echelon of it.
All right, let's say hello to some people that came in here. Ryan Willie says, I'll watch later. Cubs versus Brewers tonight. All right,
Right
go
on.
Brewers. Timothy Green's in the house. Good to see you, Timothy Green. Always appreciate having you here. Daniel Gygax is in the house. Good to see you, Daniel. Still my favorite last name. Coy, good to see you, Coy. Chad Bracey's in the house. Mark Bowman is in the house tonight.
Welcome in.
Sergeant Pickles is in the house tonight. Good evening and happy Friday, everyone. Stay tuned, Pickles. I'm sure you're going to like where we put Washington in the tier maker.
That's right.
Because you'll probably do a show just how we butchered it. But Bob Swanger's in the house. Good to see you, Bob. West Virginia Earl with the 2 Bear Cubs. I guess Moen is in Miami, Ohio. You've never been to Miami, Ohio. They don't have any skyscrapers there in Miami of Ohio. Steve Moser, I can hear the Miami Vice theme song. There you go. Da-da-da.
So Moen, is this Miami jacket? Is this signifying anything? Are there any themes here? The folks should know why the dress for Miami Vice here.
I just wanted to feel like it was the 80s again.
Dude, just
When I was
fly,
about
man.
100 pounds lighter. Steve Moser, holy Jesus, a lot of liquor. It is. It's a $60 bottle, so or 54 something. Sergeant Pickle says, speaking of tiers, Washington is number 7 in the world in the new U.S. news rankings. Oregon barely cracked 400. Boy. Really rubbing it in on them Ducks. Adam Monteberos is here. Good to see you, Adam. Texas Tech Red Raider fan. Jared Jones, Mr. Buckeye, is in the house.
Jared, you're going to want to stay for the Big Ten tier maker. You're going to want to see that, my man.
Mr. Monkey says Clownzano. Hey, Bomber says he asked him the tough questions. So tune in Sunday night at 8. Check that out.
Kudos to John Canzano for jumping on with us and talking with Bomber about different realignment and asking tough questions, stuff, being willing to do that. I give the guy a lot of props for that, being willing to do that. So I can't wait to listen to that interview. It's going to be good stuff.
Cougar Tracks is in the house as well. Conundrum's here. Arningad is here. Fatal Jedi is here. And I think we've got everybody. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. Tracy FSU is here. Good to see you. Rockin' Rand is staying a bit late at work to start the Genetics fan club.
Man.
I'm sure he will like that.
Mm-hmm.
Donnie McNerney says, hey, Moen, have you ever decked yourself out like the Minnesota Vikings mascot? Just an idea. I don't know what their mascot looks like exactly. I don't know that I could grow a beard like that. I don't have great facial hair, so.
It's that giant Viking guy. He's got
he's got
gold
that
locks
huge,
and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have to shave my mohawk. I don't think I'm ready to part with it yet.
Don't shave the mohawk. The mohawk.
Yeah, the mohawk. Daniel Gygax has visited Oxford in Troy, Ohio. Okay, you have my condolences. especially Troy. So let's jump around here. Where we can jump to next? Let's see. Let me remember how to do this again. Share screen. Home court advantage in the ACC Clemson case. And add it to stage. So this article here, and I'm going to post the link to it and read a little bit of it here. I was reading it earlier, as you can see. Clemson and the ACC are arguing about broadcast rights to sporting events, so it seems fitting to say the opening round of their legal fight is all about home court advantage. The ACC wants its case heard in North Carolina, which is where school presidents would have signed the conference's grant of rights. Clemson wants its case heard in South Carolina, where it filed a lawsuit in search of loopholes in the ACC-ESPN agreement. Then it talks a little bit about sides following back and forth. I have a quote here from David McKenzie, who I'm sure you've all read on Twitter. It matters a whole lot less than people think it does. You have a contract that's in black and white and a judge in Pickens that can evaluate that and interpret that, as well as a judge in Charlotte. And then you're supposed to have an impartial judge, you're supposed to have an impartial jury, and you're supposed to have an impartial jurisprudence, said Erwin Kirshner, a corporate attorney and affiliate member of the Sports Law Committee in the New York City Bar Association. That said, the judges and judicial system is made up of human beings, and humans have proclivities and what I'll call innate biases. So let me post that link so you guys can read all of that. It goes back and forth for a little while. It's a pretty lengthy article, but I would suggest giving it a read. Houston Courier does good journalism. What did you think of that article, you? What do you think of it's not quite home field advantage according to them?
Yeah, that's the interesting take and everything, is all we've heard about throughout this whole saga is how home field advantage means everything, right? The whole battle that's going on in Florida, Florida State, and the ACC, and now with Clemson and everything. And all of a sudden, folks are saying, oh, wait, it's really not that big a deal. But you know who's making that argument? Mr. McKenzie. And is Mr. McKenzie a Florida State supporter, or is he an ACC diehard, Moan?
He is an ACC diehard. He has biases of his own.
He's got tremendous biases, like we all do and everything, but he certainly is trying to take that road like, it doesn't matter, really. He's trying to, I think, mold the narrative battle here, saying, oh, you know what, really, it's all the same. It should be plain language and everything. It's just not. Every judge is different. There's influences in your state and everything that add maybe additional pressure to see it a different way. Like if you're in the state of South Carolina, you're seeing articles all the time on Clemson, and same thing in Florida with Florida State. So I just think that there is a true advantage, like we all talked about from the very beginning, and that Mr. McKenzie kind of has a little slant to his take.
Right. Donnie McNerney has been a member for 5 months, and he's a Buckeye fan, which means he's a great person. Let's give him a Oh. Thank you for being a member, Donnie. It means the world to us. Yeah, I thought, it's an interesting article. If you guys want to read the full article, it is a bit lengthy, but basically it comes down to the people involved don't believe there is such a thing as home court advantage. I disagree. I believe there is home court advantage. I believe there's always home cooking. So
there's always home cooking. We all have biases. Judges have biases no matter what. And we're not robots, right? We're not robots. This isn't just AI and stuff. We're human beings. So sorry, that's just, there's real home cooking. It exists and it's real and it's going to play a part in these cases.
Jared Jones says, I ain't going nowhere, my man. I'm here all night.
Then Georgia Tech to you, my friend. Here we go. Bottoms up.
I'm going to put some biceps on here.
That's got to taste good.
It does.
It's freaking awesome to be talking football on Friday night, Mo, and I'm so stoked to jump into the Big Ten stuff and everything, be with everybody. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good times.
Yep, we're going to talk Big Ten football. In fact, let's talk about blue chip ratio really quickly. because that will play a part in the Big Ten tier maker. Present. Get better at this. All right. So blue chip ratio. This is basically which schools have recruited well enough to emerge as national champion in the 2024 season. To determine this, it's essential to understand the level of talent required to clinch college football's biggest prize, according to recent standards. I set out to answer this question over a decade ago by creating the blue chip ratio. Since its inception in 2013, the blue chip ratio has been referenced by all major broadcast networks and closely monitored by head coaches and administrators. It is also being featured in the EA Sports College Football video game revival. Although it's not the most complex calculation, it's an excellent method for identifying the top 10% of teams that realistically have a shot at winning the title. In simple terms, to win the national championship, college football needs to sign more 4 and 5 star recruits, aka blue chips, than 2 and 3 star players over the previous 4 recruiting classes.
Yep.
So this goes into it. Talk about here's how it's performed in the past. 2023.
Oh, I want to share this article so folks can see it. Okay.
Yep. Go ahead and share that link. Do you need me to put that link in chat for you?
I got it.
Okay.
Keep going.
Michigan won it all with a 54% mark, which I believe is the lowest mark of any school on here. Georgia with a 77. Georgia had an 80. They beat the number 1 BC blue chip ratio team, Alabama, in the title game. 3 of the 4 CFP teams were BCR teams that year. Cincinnati was the first party crasher since 2017. Alabama 83. LSU won it with a 64% BCR. Clemson took it with a 68. Alabama won it with an 80. Clemson took home the title at 52. I guess they were technically the lowest. Alabama had a 77. Boy, just go through this list, shows you how dominant Nick Saban and Alabama was.
Right.
Exactly. Ohio State with a 68. Florida State with a 53. Alabama was at a 71. Alabama was at a 71. This is talking about all this stuff. I'm trying to get down to the list here. Enough talk. Let's see the list. So here's the list so far.
Yeah.
Ohio State at 90%. Alabama at 88. Georgia at 80. Texas A&M at 79. Oregon at 76. Oklahoma at 73. Texas 72. LSU 70, Notre Dame 67, Clemson 64, Florida at 63, Miami at 61, Penn State 61, USC 60 or 59, Michigan 56, and Auburn 53. And he says, I expect Florida 49% to join the list next year. No other team is even 2 foreseeable recruiting classes away from crashing the party.
So blue chip ratio is a pretty interesting thing to think about. Okay. So like it doesn't dictate who's going to win a conference championship always, but it really plays a factor in who can win a national championship. And I think the blue chip ratio is going to come into play even more in the playoff era when you have to win multiple games to win a title. Likely 3 games if you win your conference, right? Maybe even 4 games when you're playing the elite teams. So as Moan mentioned, as the article says, blue chip ratio, the idea is very simple. You basically take your 4 and 5 star recruits, and then you divide them by your 2 and 3 star recruits to see what kind of ratio you have. So Ohio State has 90% of Ohio State's roster is full of 4 and 5 star recruits. That's a way to think about blue chip ratio. 90%. So only 10% of the entire roster's 3-star recruits are 2-star recruits, which is a whopping total, right? I mean, like if the whole theory for blue chip ratio is if you're above 50%, then really you've got a shot at winning a national championship because of the talent that's on the roster, the recruiting talent per the 24/7 and the recruiting rankings here. So when we're looking and talking about the Big Ten tier list, like Moan mentioned, Ohio State sitting here up top of the blue chip ratio, then also Oregon. Look at that, Oregon showing out like in the top 5 for blue chip ratio with 76% of the roster as a 4 or 5 star. That's nuts. I mean, we're talking about extremely talented as far as recruiting talent rosters. And these aren't surprisingly the top teams that are being discussed for the Big Ten championship too. But really, this just gives an intuition and an idea of really who are the real legit national championship contenders and also conference championship contenders as well.
We got a super chat here from Becky Go Huskies. Moen has to get a 72 Ferrari now. It's going to take more than $1.99, I'm afraid. But thank you for the super chat, Becky. It's much appreciated.
Thanks, Becky.
Becky is a contributor on the channel. She co-hosts the Big West Mafia show with Sergeant Pickles Mondays at 8. Thank you, Becky. Much appreciated. I'll give you a sounder here. I think she likes this.
Student athletes. Oh, that is brilliant, sir.
So let's stop here. Let's go ahead and just jump into the Big Ten tier maker.
Let's do it. Let's jump into the tier maker here. All right. Got to share screen here. All right, let's go here. Let's go. And you want to pull that super chat up real quick while I'm getting this up and running?
Yeah, I can. Hold on a second. Lonnie Johansson says, good evening from Northeast Kansas, and go BYU and UU. Go Big 12. Lonnie, tune in tomorrow at 8 p.m. Dick Harmon, the Utah sports writing legend, sat down and did an interview with Bomber. That'll be debuting tomorrow night at 8 p.m. I think you'll get a kick out of it. Talks a lot of BYU, talks a lot of Utah. And thank you for the super chat. I will give you a, let me see. Let's let him cook.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him
cook. Thank you, Lonnie.
All right.
I can't wait for this tier maker. Okay, here we go. Let's do this thing, okay? All right. Here we go. This is the Big Ten tier making machine right here. So everyone loves a little tier maker. It's a great website to play around with and everything if you haven't. So I encourage you to go on that website here. But tonight's tier maker will be on the Big Ten Conference, the 2024 football season. Who are the legit contenders? Who are the pretenders based on the College Football Mafia's Big Freakin' Friday show analysis here? We're going to need your help too out there in the community. We might throw a poll or two up to kind of see where some candidates might fit here, what tier. But just to break it out here, so if you look to the left side of the screen, we've got an S tier, and that stands for a super tier. Or if you want to call it the Sigma tier too, I think the kids are saying that sometimes, but it's the super tier. So it's the elite of the elite. Then we've got our A, B, C, and D tiers. There's no F tier. There's no F level football teams in the Big Ten, certainly. But really, those are the 4 criteria. So, dude, let's get into it, Moan. Okay,
all right,
so
let's start at the bottom, right?
Let's start at the bottom. Do you want to go in any certain order here? Do you want to go from like the oldest Big Ten teams to the most recent, or the new guys first?
I think we just go from worst to best.
From worst to best. Okay. So if we're looking at worst to best, and then we're looking at D level and possibly low C level teams.
We're looking at
2024.
We're looking at Indiana.
Yeah. So Indiana, the Hoosiers. So are we saying the Hoosiers football teams?
They're D list.
So Indiana. So this is my understanding of Indiana. And if we've got anybody that can give us some more analysis on Indiana, that would be great in the chat. We'll look for it and everything. But Indiana has had basically a complete roster makeover. That's what all the smoke's saying and everything. So there's a bunch of transfer kids that are pretty talented kids. Sounds like they're going to be pretty good in the trenches. And also they're a little bit more of a philosophy of passing that football around than like historical Indiana squads. Is that going to change their destiny, though, in the Big Ten? What do you think, Mon?
No, right. This year they're going to be still at the bottom. I mean, they got a new coach. They're getting some kids in there, but they still got work to do. Until Indiana wins, they got to prove it, you know. We got a super chat here from Lonnie Johansson. Does University of Utah join the Big 12 on Monday the 1st? I believe it's actually August the 2nd. All Pac-12 teams can join their new conference. So it'd be August the 2nd for Utah.
August the 2nd. It's going to be a wonderful day. I mean, seriously, as a Ute fan, I love being in the Big 12 conference. I love just all the chatting, the jawing, like some of the games. I haven't looked forward to some of these football games preseason for a long, long time. There just wasn't that type of community in the Pac-12 other than Oregon fans. USC fans, as the Big Ten fans will find out, are something else. They're completely something else. But Oregon fans are much like Pac or Big 12 fans too. So excited Utes be in the conference here and get this thing going. All right, let's continue on looking at other C or D level candidates based on the 2024 Big Ten tier making lists for the football season. So, Moen, I'm looking at these candidates and I'm halfway tempted to put the UCLA Bruins in this D category.
Okay, I'm not going to disagree with you. They got Eric Bieniemy. They had a lot of turnover in the roster. New system. I'm fine with the UCLA to the D tier.
You'll learn this about UCLA. UCLA can field a really strong squad about once every 5 years. And then they seem to have just lulls for 3 or 4 years in a row. They lost a lot of talent 2 years ago with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and Jake Bobo. They had a great squad and everything. Last year was more of a down year, mediocre year, coaching change. Chip Kelly's gone. Man, it just seems like UCLA is going to fall in hard times in the Big Ten. I really think that they're going to get pushed around in the trenches. They had some good trench players about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but I don't know about the trenches now, especially in the Big Ten. I am not seeing a lot of wins on that UCLA schedule.
All right, next one up on the D list is going to be Purdue. Purdue, again, second-year coach. Just not quite there yet. Sometimes they have great quarterbacks. Sometimes they have these awesome offenses. But that doesn't mean Purdue can't win a game. Purdue are the spoiler makers.
Is that what you call them, the spoiler makers?
Do not be surprised if Purdue beats an S or an A-tier team this season.
So give a little summary, if possible, about the Purdue team. So they're spoiler makers. They're going to upset somebody they shouldn't upset. Do you know anything about the squad in 2024 coming in?
Yeah, it's still they don't have as much experience on that both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
They're trying to build defense first, which is a new wrinkle for Purdue because Purdue usually builds offense first.
Mm-hmm.
They usually have pretty decent quarterback play there, but I'm not so sure about the current quarterback. We'll see. But for this season, they're D tier. But listen, don't be shocked if they go in there and upset an Oregon. If Oregon comes in there at night, don't be surprised. It's weird. Purdue is, in the Big Ten, they are known as the spoiler makers for a reason.
Yeah, that's the last thing the Ducks need and everything. I believe you, though. So Purdue is D tier, probably trending a little bit more towards C tier in the future here. UCLA's D tier, and Indiana, as you can see, is D tier as well. They might be there for a while by the sound of it. So now, Moan, it looks like it's a little bit more challenging, though. I can think of one other school that might be D tier list, but I think that we're moving up to the C tier pretty soon. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think Illinois.
No.
Yeah.
Illinois? D tier? Oh, man. I'm thinking Illinois.
All right, we can put them C tier, but Bert, you better not screw me over on this.
Bert's not going to screw you over. Bert's a freaking good coach.
Yeah.
Ilima, man, he's always been a really solid coach, well-coached team. I just don't know how we can put him in the D tier. I think that Illinois is a C tier team this year. It's on the cusp, though, isn't it?
Yeah, he had that one breakout season with the fantastic defense, but since then it's just kind of been down. So,
So I'm looking here at a C tier team. It's looking at us in the face. It's a borderline C to D tier team. They seem to always get some upsets too, and that is the Northwestern Wildcats.
Yeah, I agree. I got Northwestern there.
Really wish there was like a CD. You can put them in the middle there.
Northwestern actually had a good season last year. They surprised some people.
They punched the Utes, man, in the bowl game. They beat Utah in the freaking Vegas Bowl.
Yeah,
I
they
don't-
got that new coach in there. He was promoted to permanent coach, so we'll see. Those kids will like to play for him, so I wouldn't be so inclined to put them C/D tier. They're a solid C tier team, and they could pull an upset. You're right. If playing at Ryan Field's not there anymore, but the field they're going to be playing at is going to be brutal. It is right off the lake. I've been there. I know what the wind is like coming off there. Good luck punting in that game.
Seriously? Wow.
Yeah, it's if you haven't seen it, look it up. What they've got going there. It's basically just a flat field and some bleachers.
Yeah, I think that Northwestern overperformed last year. New coach after that Fitzgerald debacle. I think the kids were revved up. I think that the team rallied. I wonder if there's going to be regression and back to maybe the talent level of that roster and everything. So we're saying C tier, but again, for me, it's kind of a CD area. For you, it's clear C, but we're both in that C range there. So we'll keep them there. Now it gets a little bit more challenging. I think that you kind of identify the 5 schools, at least in my view, that are in that C and D tier. I think that there's more that could fall into C, but we're kind of moving up kind of a little bit of a level.
Yeah, Minnesota's C tier. I'm sorry. And I hear all this stuff about Max Brosmer until I actually see him throw in a game with people coming at him.
Yeah.
I ain't buying it. I mean, and I love Greg. He's a friend, but he talked up all last offseason about the Greek rifle, and we saw how that turned out. So I'm not willing to put Minnesota in the B tier yet. They've got a great defense. But until they can perform offensively, no way.
That's right. I'm okay with that, putting Minnesota in the C tier. Let them prove it a little bit more. Last year, they did make a bowl game. So there's that and everything. But there's been some, the quarterback transition, Brosmere, it looks like things are kind of trending the right way, get to where they were a few years back with Tanner Morgan. But probably C tier level for this year for the 2024 season. Looking at probably trying to push for a 6-6 type of record, 5 wins there for the Golden Gophers. What are you thinking for record wise for the Gophers?
I think 5 wins is probably spot on.
Are we moving tiers now, Moan?
Yeah, I say we can move up. You know what? No, we're not. Put Michigan State up there.
Oh, man. I don't know. Michigan State.
New players, new coach. They had a lot of kids transfer out. They might be good someday, but not today.
Jonathan Smith's going to give Big Ten coaches and teams fits. I mean, he is a very, very good coach. I like him coming in there, the culture that he can build. C tier.
Yeah,
he has to
prove it.
They're a quick riser, though.
Yeah, he has to prove it first. So
I'm curious for the community. I'm wondering if we can put out a poll. We're moving up tiers now. And I wonder if the community can give us some feedback on at least 1 or 2 of these last teams. And the one team that I'm super curious about, if they fall in S, A, or B tier, is the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They're confusing.
We can just put A or B because they're not S.
Okay, so we can put A or B. There's a lot of momentum right now. There's a lot of smoke going around the Cornhusker program that this is the year and everything. They seem to have righted something, but they haven't performed for many years. So is Nebraska an A level or B level squad? So we can jump into that, but I think that the community can make that decision for Nebraska.
Great comment from Immaculate. Jonathan Smith has a major challenge tackling that MSU culture. It has. That culture has been toxic since D'Antonio left. Well, prior to D'Antonio leaving, it was toxic too. So, but it is a toxic culture. He's going to have to go in there and win some hearts and change some minds.
He's the kind of coach that can do it. I mean, he's the kind of coach that is all about character, grit, hard work, development. And I just think that's going to work out there. I think that Michigan State's going to be a really, really strong team. And it's not going to take as long as maybe some folks in the Big Ten think about. I get it this year. This is a new roster and everything else jumping over there. I think like in a year and certainly in 2 years, I think that Michigan State squad's going to be tough as nails.
Got a super chat here from our friend Kerry Go Knowles. I'm
Kerry.
just ready to spot the damn ball, as Keith Jackson would say.
We're gonna play football.
Oh,
Cheers to you, sir, and I will have a drink on your behalf.
I'll have a drink too, Kerry. And Kerry, you know, if it were up to me, I would just throw Florida State into this tier list right now, man. My man, but I can't do it. It's still premature right now. But I wonder if the Noles were in the Big Ten, they'd certainly be, I would say probably A tier, close to S tier, if the Noles happen to be in the Big Ten Conference this year.
Yeah, they lost some pieces on defense. But that defense was so good last year. That was probably one of the better defenses in the country. Thank you for the super chat, Kerry. Much appreciated, sir.
Thank you, Kerry. All right, we're getting this list is whittling down. We're almost.
It's overwhelming that Nebraska is a B-level squad, which is exactly where I would put it as well. 3 freshmen starting. Dylan Raiola, a guy who bounced from here to there and everywhere. I would not put. Yeah, Nebraska
is Nebraska a C then? If it's so overwhelming, is Nebraska C level?
No, because they do have a good, talented defense, and they did get a transfer wide receiver from Ohio State. So now they have a wide receiver. They just need, Dylan Raiola is a true freshman. When's the last time a true freshman quarterback walked into his squad and was super successful? There's going to be growing pains there. There has to be.
Yeah. I would hope that Nebraska gets to a bowl game. That should be a 7 or 8 win squad, right?
Yeah, I think they'll probably be around 7 wins.
Look out, I guess, in 2025, right, for that Nebraska team. There's some high risers down here you're looking at in the B, C, and D tiers that are going to be looking at pushing up, into the A and B levels here in the near future.
Matt Rule's done a good job changing that culture at Nebraska so far, but he still needs pieces. So go back to that blue chip ratio. He still needs pieces.
That's right. All right, B tier. Looking at the schools that remain here. Next B tier team is Rutgers.
Yeah, I agree. Although I will say Rutgers is going to be much improved from last year, even with Ethan Clackamanus.
The Greek rifle, is he going to be able to get it done in Rutgers?
I don't know.
You want to bet that?
They've got a fantastic running game there. They've got a good O-line. They've recruited well on defense. Greg Schiano has put his culture back in there at Rutgers. He's the one who's had the most success with Rutgers. I look for him to continue to build. They're spending some money on NIL, though. So you got to give them that.
Well, B tier for the Scarlet Knights. Keep chopping. All right, we're moving on. I think we got the Terrapins. I think that you're going to say Terrapins are A tier, B tier here.
I'm going to say first Wisconsin's B tier.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Luke Fickle's a great coach. He just doesn't have it all there yet. He's getting there, but they're only going to be a 7 or 8 win team this year.
I can't get on board with the B tier for Wisconsin. We're going to have to go to the community.
Okay.
To resolve that one. If it's an A tier,
I know how Tony's going to start. I know how Tony's going to vote on that one.
Let's talk about sleeper teams, like the biggest momentum. I think that just the way that Fickle gets stuff done, I just believe in the coach, the philosophy down there. Wisconsin, to me, is a program that's going to be a serious contender very soon and might have a chance. They might have a chance, an outside chance of winning the Big Ten this year.
You want to bet on that one? Because I like Wisconsin.
I'm not saying it's the chalk or anything. I'm saying there's an outside dark horse chance that Wisconsin, if you look at their schedule, it's favorable. And again, like I believe in that culture. I believe in that coaching staff. I mean, I just think that Wisconsin is a riser, and just something feels really good about this team this year.
I think again it's overwhelming so far on the vote that Nebraska or Wisconsin's a B team.
Really?
Yeah. I just don't think he has all the pieces he needs yet. And we need to see how Van Dyke plays. Van Dyke might come out and set the world on fire. He might come out like he played at Miami.
Okay. Well, so Wisconsin's B level here. Okay, so next B level school is Washington for the season.
Yeah, for this season, it's Washington.
Yeah. Obviously, Washington's going to turn that thing around. Washington's a very good program. I'm a Jetfish believer. With the transition of coaching staffs, with all that's lost, with Penix gone, I mean, Washington would have been S tier last year going into the season. With all the talent hemorrhage, though, it's a B tier level school as far as Big Ten championship contention this year.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Now, are we sticking on B tier or are we going up to A?
Maryland. Let's talk about Maryland. And let's talk about USC, and let's talk about Iowa. We need to talk about those three schools.
Iowa is not B tier. I know their offense has been terrible, but their defense is so good. So good that I don't think you can put them B tier. I'm not saying they're S tier, but I don't think you can put them B tier.
I can get on board with that. Let's look. So Iowa's going to be A tier.
Yeah, Iowa would definitely be A tier in my book.
So A tier in your book, Moan, and that is a contender, right? Like not the chalk for contention, but anyone that's an A tier is a contender.
Yes.
I believe Iowa's got a favorable schedule. I think they've got a really good schedule this year.
Right. The only thing I would have in the Maryland, I just have a question at quarterback. They've got a really good defense. They've got a really great head coach. I think we might have to put Maryland B this year, but I think they're a contender for A. But they've just got too many questions that need to be answered.
Maryland is a solid B tier team. Agreed on that one. So they fit into B tier. So the B tier is getting a little full right now. It makes sense though. There's going to be a lot of parity at that middle level of the Big Ten. It's going to be a slug fight. My gosh, there's so many dang schools in the Big Ten conference. It's bananas. Okay, so we've got 5 left. If 5 left, and there's one that's jumping out completely. That's a borderline B tier. You might want to throw them in the A, and that's the USC Trojans.
I'm going to give them the A tier.
Why do you think they deserve A tier?
Based on their offense, based on the fact that they've always had a powerful offense under Lincoln Riley. He's got so many Heisman winners he developed at quarterback. I think you have to give them the benefit of the doubt this year on defense. They allegedly improved their defense, but just for the same reason I put Iowa at A, their defense is so good you have to respect it. I think USC, their offense is so good you have to respect it.
USC will struggle this year in the Big Ten. As a program that's beat the Trojans many times in the Pac-12 era, what beats the Trojans, physicality, trench play, and the Big Ten's got plenty of that. Show me anywhere where USC can compete in the trenches. I just don't see it. They haven't been that way. I don't think that the transfer portals changed that at all, at least for this cycle. I think they're going to get completely wasted away, probably through injuries, nutrition, because of the trench play. And I just have a hard time seeing that type of roster with Lincoln Riley. You want to talk about a guy that doesn't build a great culture? Think very low of Lincoln Riley. I don't think he's a great culture builder at all. He's not Jonathan Smith. He's not Loxley, a lot of these great coaches. I'm not a believer in USC being a legit Big Ten contender. I think that they're going to be a middling team. I think they're going to get beaten up pretty hard.
No,
They're not Oregon.
He builds Heisman winners, so that Heisman winner is going to get you 8 to 9 wins, probably 8. You're right.
In
They're
the
gonna
Big
get beat
Ten?
up in the Big Ten, but he probably will go out there and throw for 3,000 plus yards and rush for another 500. I see your point, but I think if we're going to respect Iowa on defense based off their previous defense, I think we have to respect Southern California based on
Big Ten
offense.
football is a different game, though. I mean, we all know that and everything. It's trench play. It's largely defense, and you've got to have the right offense to compete for championships. I just don't see a high-flying offense like USC doing well or that going well, especially when you got lackluster trench play. Seriously, the Utes have really dominated the trenches versus the Trojans and the physicality.
I'll tell you,
USC's
we'll go to the you want them B, I want them A. We'll go to the chat. We'll let chat decide this one.
Yeah, exactly.
And I will get to that super chat. USC, A or B? All right, we've got a super chat from Mark Bowman here. Iowa could have the top-ranked rated defense at the end of the year, plus a new Australian punter and excellent field goal kicker. Yes, you've got to respect them for that defense. Even if their offense is absolutely mediocre, you have to respect them for that defense. It's elite.
It is elite. It certainly is. Yeah, we got to see what the community says. So put out a vote.
I've got it out there. Let's. Is there anybody else we think belongs in A tier?
So in A tier, Michigan.
I'm for it.
Are you for it because you're an Ohio State fan?
I'm for it because they lost a lot of pieces. I'm not sold on Orgy as the quarterback. Sharon Moore, his first head coaching gig. A lot of things going against Michigan. That doesn't mean that they might. Like we said, these guys are contenders for Big Ten championship. The A-League, you're still a contender for the Big Ten championship. They've had Ohio State's number the last 3 years. Will that continue? Entirely possible. I've got Michigan A, but I believe there is an argument that could be made to put them as an S-tier team. It's just the schedule. The schedule for Michigan is really brutal this year. They've got a brutal schedule. So
they've lost so much talent. They lost Harbaugh. Yeah, Connor Stallion.
They have to play Texas this year.
Seriously, this Michigan squad.
Their schedule, I think, is one of the toughest in the nation.
So they've got Texas in non-conference. Of course, they're playing Ohio State.
Yeah, let me pull it up here. I'll let you know.
We got to look at that Michigan schedule. Let's pull that Michigan schedule.
I believe they have Oregon as well.
Oh, my gosh.
So they open at Fresno State. Then they have Texas. And then they have Arkansas State. Then they have USC. And then they have Washington. Then they have Illinois. Then they have Michigan State. That's a rivalry game, so you can put that up there. Then they have Oregon. Then they have Indiana. That's an easy win. Then they have Northwestern, which should be an easy win for them. And then they have Ohio State to end the season. But they do get Texas at home. They get USC at home. They get Oregon at home. They get Michigan State at home.
Mm-hmm.
They have to travel for Washington and Ohio State.
Borderline S tier. A is probably the place.
Yeah, I think A
Borderline.
is a good place for it. So let's take a look at the poll. Wow, okay. Poll is real close. 52 to 48 on USC. That's why.
Where are we going with it?
Let's go ahead and end the poll by a vote of 51 to 47
Wow.
USC is an A tier.
A tier. A tier. The community has spoken. USC is A tier. There we go. So we got our A tier filling up right there. Look at that Hawkeye logo. Isn't that Hawkeye logo so cool? It's so
It is. It's
cool. I love
unique.
it.
Very
It just
unique.
looks you in the face. You know, that eye just looks you in the freaking face all the time and just stares at you. It's nuts.
So these are 3 are going to be S tier. I think we can all agree on that.
Penn State is the lowest of the S tier.
Sure.
So let's put them in first in the S tier. Adler is coming back. I mean, their schedule. How's their schedule shake it? You know?
I can pull it up here. But they're returning a lot of starters. We'll see if Drew Aller's the real deal. I don't think they have that bad of a schedule either. They've got at West Virginia to start out. That could be a tough game for them.
Huge game for the Big 12. Huge.
Then they have Bowling Green at home. They have Kent State at home. They get Illinois at home. They get UCLA at home. Now, they do have to travel out to USC. They also have to travel to Wisconsin. They get Ohio State at home. That's probably going to be a whiteout game.
Wow.
They get Washington at home. That also may end up being a whiteout game. We'll have to see. They go to play on the road at Purdue, on the road at Minnesota, and at home. They finish out the season at home against Maryland.
They're definitely S tier. 100%. With that schedule, it shapes up very nicely for the Nittany Lions. So that's going to be a playoff team right there.
Good possibility. You know, the only problem I have with Penn State is James Franklin, their coach.
Right.
And he's a great coach, but for some reason, he makes he just has dumbass moments where he'll just completely, it'll be like 4th and 3, and he's like, run the ball. And it's like, they'll stuff it, and it's like, you know, it's like, why would you do that? Why are you being a dumbass? You throw on 4th and 3. You don't rush against the best defensive line in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd put them at the bottom. Now, Oregon, Ohio State, I think are right there equals.
Disagree a little bit on that one. I think they're the top 2, but I think that Ohio State's clear number 1 and Oregon is the clear number 2. And the reason for that, I mean, the change in quarterback at Oregon, changing over new conference with different philosophies as far as team building and everything. I think that, again, like the physicality of the Big Ten, Oregon can play up to that, but can they play up to that every single week? I'm not sure about that. Dylan Gabriel is a great player. I don't know if he's like I don't know if he's like a game changer as far as like, you know, beating an Ohio State. We'll find out about that. I would like to see that. But Oregon is the clear number 2. I think that Ohio State, we already looked at the blue chip ratio, how good this team is with all the transfers coming in. Ohio State is absolutely freaking loaded this year.
All right. Well, we'll put them up there, and while we're doing that, I am going to let you know what the list at FanDuel is so we can see how we played out. So FanDuel has Indiana at the bottom, Purdue, Northwestern, Michigan State, Minnesota. They've got UCLA above Minnesota, Michigan State.
Interesting.
Illinois, then Rutgers, then Maryland, then Wisconsin, then Washington, then Nebraska, then Iowa. They have USC, Michigan, Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State. So I think we did good on our S and our A tiers. We got the top 6 squads in those 2 tiers. So
FanDuel's not a big fan of Michigan State, the Spartans.
No, and they're a
Michigan
big
State.
fan of, you know, surprisingly UCLA, which I don't know.
Seems like it's going to be a rough transition for the Bruins in the Big Ten Conference. There we go. That is the tier making list here for the college football mafia. You can see the S tier, the super tier, the A, B, C, D tier. So Ohio State gets the top nod for the chalk to win the Big Ten Conference, while Indiana gets the low man on the totem pole.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know Indiana's got a good coach, and they're saying all the right things, but, until they actually do something, I can't get past the fact they're Indiana.
Yeah.
All right, guys. What did you let's get some comments in. We got a lot of comments. Wow. 166 comments. Let me just bounce through some of these. Jamie Thornton says Penn State is never at the very top. I would disagree with you this year. I think they're one of the 3 best this year.
Penn State's borderline. Yeah, I'm kind of with Jamie. They're always seeming like they just never quite get there. Can they do it this year?
James Franklin will probably have a dumbass moment and they'll lose a game because of it. He'll make a bad coaching decision, not pay attention to the clock. Something will happen where they'll lose a game. Immaculate, I would barely sneak USC into A status again. Yeah, we pretty much got that with the poll being 52-48.
Yeah, exactly.
Penn State never wins it all. Penn State is the definition of A tier. You're wrong. Penn State did win it all back in 2017 or 18. They beat Wisconsin in the game, went to the Rose Bowl. And then I believe they beat, who did they beat in the Rose Bowl?
It's probably USC, 17, 18, either USC or Washington.
Okay.
USC,
Penn State has won.
USC.
Yeah, Penn State has won the Big Ten before, and they actually got screwed over for it because one loss. They beat Ohio State and they had one loss, and the one loss Ohio State beat Michigan that year. And they put Ohio State in the playoff over the Big Ten champion Penn State.
How did Ohio State perform?
Oh, they got their ass handed to them. Clemson came out and laid a 31-point ass whipping. And that was the end of Tim's time at Ohio State. USC plays at home versus Rutgers. Game kicks off at 11 p.m. East Coast time. Yeah, that's going to be a rough one for Rutgers. That'll be a fun one for me, though. I think I might take Rutgers on that, depending on what the spread is.
USC is the one team this year that I would not bet on. As far as hitting win totals and everything, I think they're incredibly overrated. And I think that you're going to see it. It's almost like akin to like that Colorado team last year that just didn't have the trench play. Took some attrition and everything towards the end of the season to start hemorrhaging losses. That is similar in some ways to this USC squad. Just don't think they've got the depth or the talent, the beef in the trench.
No, Jamie, they did. They won the Big Ten one year when Ohio State went to the playoffs. They beat Wisconsin in the conference championship game. And they were down big in that game, and they came back to win it. And Ohio State still went to the playoffs. It was a huge controversy in the conference. Immaculate, I'm sure you can back me up on this. It's not another acid flashback. Line 10 says, I think S is only the O schools. 2018 is the year then. 2018, they went to the Rose Bowl, and I believe they won that Rose Bowl as well. Penn State did.
The O schools, so Ohio State and Oregon. Penn State's getting some, a little bit of shade, I guess. Like for a lot of folks think Penn State's an A-level team. Can certainly see that argument. I think they're S and A.
Penn State goes 10-2 seems every year. That's top tier. Yeah, James Franklin's a great, consistent coach. He'll get you to the mountaintop, but he won't get you over it. He'll get you right there, but he will not get over that mountaintop for some reason. I don't understand why. Maybe this will be his year. Bob Swanger says, Penn State fan, Franklin has to prove he's S tier. He hasn't so far. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there it is. Can Penn State get there though in the playoff era, in this 12-team playoff era? In the 14, they couldn't do it.
Yeah, they could get there, but again, it's going to be a James Franklin decision making.
Penn State can
made some
hammers
poor
2 losses
decisions.
and get in the playoffs.
Yeah,
2 losses and get in the playoffs as an at-large, even if you don't win Big Ten. Seems like they're going to be a playoff team.
yeah. One time, I believe it was either Joey Bosa. I think it was Joey Bosa. James Franklin put a running back to block Joey Bosa. That tells you the level of play calling he does sometimes. It's just, who knows? Jamie Thornton thinks Rutgers should be in C at best. I'm telling you, Greg Schiano, he's built a culture there. Mr. Monkey says West Virginia 49, Penn State 4. So I guess Penn State's getting 2 safeties on West Virginia. If that's the actual score, then yes, Penn State does not deserve to be S tier. How is Wisconsin and Washington in the same tier as Rutgers? You guys just got DQ'd for that right off the bat.
We got cut off, Moan. We've been cut off. Hey,
Nobody's
Georgia
cut
Tech.
me off.
Yeah, Rutgers was a tough one. Moan loved Rutgers, though.
I
Everyone
do.
needs
I
to
think
know.
Rutgers, I'm taking the over on the win total. I'm taking them in a lot of spots if there's big spreads on them. I think that defense is legit. Lee Smith says Penn State is an A, not an S.
You know what? Should we take a poll on that? We might have to revise that. There's so many folks in the community that are saying that Penn State is not an S tier. We can go back and change this.
All right, y'all. You guys pick it.
You guys pick it.
We're not taking Oregon and Ohio State off of S tier. I think
No.
those are the 2 best teams in the conference. I think that game, Ohio State at Oregon, is going to be the top-rated game of the college football season. And I think you could end up with a rematch in the conference championship game. That game could be played realistically 3 times. They could play them in the season, in the conference finals, in the playoff.
That's going to be such a good game at Autzen. Oh, my goodness. Go to that game if you have a chance, Buckeye fans. Autzen's a crazy place. So Penn State, are they the super or sigma tier, or are they an A tier squad for the 2024 football season? That is the question at hand. That's the poll question. It is up to you, the community. Are we pulling the Nittany Lions from the super tier to the A tier? I want to put the Trojans in the B tier so bad.
I know you do. But like I said,
maybe it's just the dislike for USC, though. You know, some
Right.
bias might be showing through.
Well, look, I'm going to end this poll because overwhelmingly people are saying that Penn State is A tier.
Ah, look at that. So, okay, here we go. I think this is the way we need to put this. If we can get Michigan moving over. All right, so we got Penn State.
You got to put Iowa in front of Michigan.
Really?
Yeah.
Moan?
Yeah,
Iowa
it's
ahead of
really. I
Michigan?
think you do. They've got a new offensive coordinator. If that offensive coordinator can score 14 points a game, that team's going to be damn near unbeatable.
So Iowa is a legit playoff contender.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just based
Where's
on defense.
Iowa ranked in the EA rankings and power rankings? Immaculate would know that. Immaculate, what's Iowa ranked? I'm curious in their power rankings. Not to say that's the AP poll or whatever, but I just haven't seen a lot.
Their defense
Iowa.
has to be top 5 in that game.
And their defense, yeah, it would be top 5, but like the offense and the total. But that's a little bit of a stretch to put them over Michigan. Still, certainly over USC.
Nah.
Okay, so This is where we're landing. Ohio State, Sigma tier. Oregon, Sigma tier. A tier, Penn State, top of the A tier with Iowa, Michigan, and the USC Trojans. In the B tier, we got the Nebraska Cornhuskers, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, Wisconsin Badgers, the Washington Huskies, and the Maryland Terrapins. In the C tier, we've got Bert. The big Berts.
Okay, Bert.
We got Illinois. We got Northwestern. We've got Minnesota, Michigan State. In the D tier, Indiana, UCLA, and Purdue. There we go. There's the adjustment we needed.
Immaculate says Penn State probably has at most 2 losses, but maybe 11-1, and goes to the big conference championship game as well. If Oregon does, if Penn State finishes at 11-1, then they are in the CFP for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's probably pretty close for. I mean, reading the thing from FanDuel, we got a little bit. There's differences at the bottom, but they've even got Rutgers. They've got Rutgers 7 spots from the bottom. So but they've got Nebraska, I think, unrealistically high.
What do they have, Nebraska?
They've got Nebraska at 7.
There's a lot of optimism in Lincoln right now.
But they're actually tied with Washington for number 7. Yeah, I don't see that in Nebraska until I'm sure Dylan Rail was a great quarterback, but he's bounced around so much that his decision making to me is suspect. So.
Let's take a look at FPI last here, just to see how FPI thinks about the upcoming season. So ESPN's FPI is their analytics. A lot of folks disagree with FPI, hate it and stuff, but it's something that needs to be considered at least. So let's see how FPI – can you see that, Moan?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, perfect. So FPI says Oregon actually is the highest FPI, second in the nation going into the season, with Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, USC, Washington, Iowa. So they're a little bit down. FPI is a little bit down on Iowa. They're saying Iowa's 37 from the nation.
Look at UCLA.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, yeah.
Could we both be wrong about UCLA being a dumpster fire this year?
Let's pull up the schedule. Let's see. Can we get into the Bruin schedule? So they've got Hawaii. They've got Indiana as at home. Well, they got LSU. There's a loss.
That's a loss.
So they say 2-0 loss at LSU, loss to Oregon, 2-2 loss at Penn State, 2-3. Minnesota's probably going to clip them.
That's probably a loss.
2-4 at Rutgers, loss. 2-5 at Nebraska, 2-6 at Iowa, 2-7 at Washington. Yeah. I mean, seriously, these guys might win 3 games.
Yeah, I don't know where they're getting. I guess they're going by FPI, not by actual possibility of winning, because that's a brutal schedule for a UCLA.
It is, and like FBI does do the trailing based on how you performed over the last year with recruiting considerations and everything. But with that schedule, UCLA might be the worst team in the Big Ten at the end of the season.
All right, we got a super chat here from Sergeant Pickle. Says USC is B tier. Riley makes Heisman's, not champions. It's correct.
Pickles just nailed it. He knows what's up. We've been playing UCLA.
Yeah,
USC.
They make Heisman's, but those Heisman's win you 8 or 9 games, which puts you in A tier.
But this Big Ten conference, this new Big Ten conference is so loaded. You're seeing just strong teams every week almost. I mean, compared to the old Pac-12, this is a completely different level of play. So USC could get away with beating, Arizona State and Arizona, but really, where's the Arizona State in the Big Ten? I mean, is that UCLA?
Right on. Yeah, I mean, they're A. We did a poll, guys. It was 52-48. So they're either high B or low A. Take your pick. There's no in between on the tier maker, so I stand by it. And then Kerrigo Noel says Iowa should be S tier in my opinion.
Throwing it down. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. S tier?
Well, you place that bet, Kerry. You place that bet because I'm not placing that bet until I know what that offense can do.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
Defense and special teams will win that team probably 9 games, but until we know what that offensive coordinator do, what the new offense looks like, I can't go in for S tier. I just can't.
A lot of optimism around this Iowa Hawkeye squad.
Yeah.
Clearly a lot of optimism. It's nuts. S tier level, I mean, maybe Iowa can sneak in to the college football play. If the defense can win games, you never know what could happen in a slugfest in a CFB game.
Timothy Green says Penn State could very well lose at West Virginia. I think it'll be a lot closer than people think. I agree. I think depending on what the spread is, you take West Virginia and you take the over. Keep chopping. Rutgers has the best running back in the big. That's debatable. And a top 3 defense. The running back thing is going to be debatable. I agree. The kid's explosive. He's a game changer. But I don't think he's the best running back in the Big Ten. Hell of a running back, though. I'd love to have him on my team. Jamie says, Greg said his Gophers are way below market value. They should be an ECA.
Oh. The Gophers.
I think Greg's going to be doing that a lot this year on Minnesota. So we might have to have a watch along of Greg. We'll watch along as Greg watches along a Minnesota game.
Oh, seriously, that's so funny.
Let's see. Conundrum says Autzen equals loud.
Autzen is absolutely bananas. Oh my gosh. I cannot believe Autzen only got 11th place in EA. As far as the toughest stadiums to play at, that has got to be top 5, 100%. Maybe top 3. Man.
Yeah, we'll find out. Now put the Big 12 on this tier list. Well, we kind of already did a Big 12 tier list.
I think that Mr. Monkey's asking for us to put Big 12 teams on this tier list. The same one with the Big 10.
You want us to merge the list and put? Oh boy, that's going to be a hell of a tier.
Oh man, yeah.
We might do it. We might, now that we're using Tier Maker, we might go back and do the Big 12 again, but do that a little closer to the season. I wanted to get
check out a
Big 10 one done. That way, Big 10 Ted's going to be our guest on Mowing After Dark on Sunday, and I want him to take a look at it, and I want to get his feedback on it. So that's why we wanted to do this one with the Big 10 tonight. Braska Rascal says Michigan fans going to lose their mind being put into the B tier. Well, lose your mind then. You got a tough schedule coming in front of you, and you lost so many pieces to the draft.
Well, Michigan's in A tier. We had Michigan in the A tier.
Oh yeah, we did have them in the A tier.
But I think they're square in the A tier. You were making the argument that they're almost a super tier squad.
They've recruited well. Ohio State has those Bama vibes. I hope those Bama vibes carry us to a national championship. You know what? I'd even forgo the national championship if we just beat Michigan. Let's see. Keep chopping. Iowa can win 11 games if their offense shows a pulse. Yes, they could. And that's the great unknown with them. Can they show some offensive ability? Until they can show some offensive ability, we just don't know.
I think that we need to pull the Iowa schedule up. Take a look. I mean, this is Big Ten night. We're really breaking down Big Ten. So I think Iowa deserves a look. Heard that the schedule is pretty favorable, but let's do a win prediction here real quick.
All right.
For the Hawkeyes, okay? Going to share the screen here. Here we go. So here's the Hawkeye. Okay. So left-hand side, Hawkeyes. I'll read it out if it's too small to see. Sorry, guys. If it is, so Illinois State win. Okay, here's an interesting one. Iowa State.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm picking Iowa State in that game. I'm taking Iowa State simply because it's a rivalry game, and Kirk Ferentz has had issues with Iowa State.
That Iowa State squad is extremely good, extremely underrated, and they're a Big 12 contender. That game is at Iowa. It's not at Iowa State. Man, that is going to be an absolute slugfest. It's a push. It's a straight push. If that game's in Ames, I think Iowa State gets it, but I think it's a complete push. So we're going to say
depends on what the spread is. I'm taking Iowa State.
We're moving on then. So then Troy at home.
That's a win.
Okay, so you're looking at either 2-1 or 3-0, but you're moving into Big Ten play at Minnesota. That's a win.
That's a win. Yeah.
At Ohio State, that's a loss.
That's probably a loss because it's at Ohio State.
Then you've got Michigan or Washington at home. That's a win.
That's a win. Yeah.
At Michigan State, that's a win.
That's a win.
Northwestern at home, that's a win.
That's a win.
Man, this is favorable. Whew. Then you're Wisconsin at home.
Because it's at home.
Game.
At home, it's probably a win.
Yeah. That's kind of like that Iowa State game a little bit, kind of like a push game. At UCLA, that's a win. At Maryland.
Oh, that's probably a win because we don't know enough about the Maryland offense.
Then Nebraska at home. After all the Nebraska hype at the beginning of the season, will the Fighting Lincolns, are they going to be there at the end of the year? Are they going to kind of phase out?
You know, with Dylan Raiola being a true freshman quarterback, that Iowa defense can get on him. I don't see him being successful in that game.
Yeah.
So I would say Iowa gets a win. I mean, there's maybe 2 losses on here for Iowa. Maybe as low as 1.
Yeah. I mean, Choppin's right on it. He's saying 11 games. I mean, it's around 10 games for sure. A bad season would be, certainly 8, 9 wins would probably not be the best Iowa season. They could pull 11 wins out of that sucker. I mean, I don't think they go undefeated with that. I think they've got Ohio State, right? Didn't they have Ohio State on the schedule?
Yeah, they got to play at Ohio State.
So there's that one loss.
Yeah.
You push Wisconsin, you push Iowa State, and you get up to 10 wins. Looks like between a 9 and 10 win squad.
Marcus Williams says we're going to 4P against. I'm not going to say that, and I'm not going to say the last part. You can say that.
So we're going to go 4P against Ohio. Is that the thing to say? Is that what the Wolverines
they usually like to call us?
Ohio?
They like to call us Ohio, which is not our name. Our name is Ohio State. Ohio is the university in Athens.
Oh, Marcus, we're gonna 4P against Ohio. Go blue. Go blue, baby.
We're not buying that one, Marcus Williams. Ohio State is going to get their vengeance this year, beat Michigan, go to the conference championship game against Oregon on their run to the first. They were the first national champion in the 4-team playoff. They're going to be the first national champion in the 12-team playoff. And then they probably won't win a championship for the next 12 years. But as long as we can get one, that'll keep us satisfied. Thank you for the super chat.
Hey, check this comment out, Mo. And Conundrum is nails right here. Vegas has Iowa at 8 wins. Really?
Yeah, take that over all day.
We should make a bet on behalf of the Big Freakin' Friday show on the Iowa Hawkeyes.
We should. What we'll do is, hey, that's a great idea. What we'll do, guys, is we'll come up with some sports bets. If you're watching, leave a comment. Let us know what sports bet you like. We will place one sports bet this year on behalf of the show.
Yeah.
We'll put like $50 or $100 on it, and we'll see what happens.
This has got to be in contention. If that
But
line
this
doesn't
is
move,
definitely in contention. Vegas says Iowa at 8. Yeah, get rich. Put the over on Iowa.
Iowa State is getting slept on too a lot, and so is West Virginia. So those have to be in consideration also.
Sure.
Those two schools. But we'll have to make the call, though, on what we're going to go on before the season starts.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Conundrum. That's a solid bet. I mean, I might take that bet personally. But I would like to do a show bet. So we can keep track of it throughout the year, along with our picks. All right. Jamie Thornton, thank God I showed up here and brought some reason to the board. Okay.
We appreciate you, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thanks for keeping us on point here. Got to correct those mistakes that we make, those little mistakes between that B and C tier.
Okay, Jamie's got her list: Ohio State, Oregon, Iowa, Penn State, USC, Michigan, Wisconsin, Washington, Nebraska, Maryland, Rutgers, Minnesota, Northwestern, UCLA, Purdue, Illinois, and Indiana. Yeah,
Illinois.
I still can't get why people think why they've got UCLA ranked so high. That's beyond me.
Cachet. It's the cachet of UCLA. You will find that UCLA, the football program, is very unimpressive. It was unimpressive in the Pac-12. There's no consistency in that program. No one shows up to their games. Like they could easily turn into a cellar dweller, an annual cellar dweller in the Big Ten.
Time for the super chat. 70 suck you music. I don't know. Ute doesn't like it. Ute doesn't.
You know
like
what?
it
Hey,
when
Moan, you can play it if you want to and stuff. You know, it's
We'll do this one song, even though we'll play it for somebody's super chat. I think everybody got a sounder, but we'll play this for Marcus Williams since he's a Wolverines fan.
They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. You're sick of it. I get it. They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you.
Thank you, everybody, for the super chats tonight. And those who became members. I don't think we had any gifted memberships, so it is a smash hit.
It's a smash hit.
It's great. Well, it's a hit. See?
Hey, as long as we can celebrate together the smash hit here on the College Football Mafia, it's all good. All good.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers, yeah. Cheers to Ohio State reporting as number 1 in the tier maker list right there. Man, that's a big bottle, though, Moan. Man, gosh.
It's a big freaking Friday show. I had to get the big bottle out. Yeah, I was in the store earlier and I was like, "Oh, just get me a liter." And it's like, well, might as well get 1.75 liters. Why? Jamie Thornton's got to see if I can get some of my friends from the Bengals to record it with the Wild Youth.
Man.
They could do "Suck Like a Utah Man."
Hey.
Based off of the same lines as "Walk Like an Egyptian."
Moan, Utah's going to play Ohio State in the playoffs, and we're going to clip you guys.
Okay, good luck. I've heard that before.
Got revenge.
Weren't you up like 18 points in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I was at that game.
Sorry to hear it. CJ Stroud, fantastic quarterback. Yeah, folks better get their bets in now before Vegas realizes they're about to lose a lot of money on Iowa bets.
Seriously, get it in now.
I think it might be entrapment. I think they put that line out there just to get kids from the Iowa football team to bet on it.
Wouldn't that be something?
Ohio is always preseason champs, but we'll take care of them. Okay, well, we'll see.
Michigan's feeling pretty good. Michigan is feeling pretty dang good. They are the national champs. The national champs. So, hey, talk all the smack you want. You are the champs.
Kerry Gonal is a good defense, could play anywhere. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Just another Milkman Monday. I love it.
I am the milkman. My milk is delicious.
I would love to hear that one. Polka is huge in Utah.
Polka? Huh? You'll need to clarify that one. Tough Tony.
I think he's going based on some stereotypes about Utah.
Gotcha.
Justin R says Hard Rock app in Florida has set the Iowa regular season wins at 7.5. I put 20 bet on the over.
Holy smokes. We might need Justin to make that bet for us on this channel. It's still sitting at 7.5.
One thing I've learned about Vegas, frequently something that looks like a sure thing winds up going the other way and Vegas cleans up. I'm sorry, after looking at that schedule, even if they have a double amputee at quarterback, I can't see Iowa losing that many games.
I mean, if you got in at 7.5, wow, that's nuts. Like, Iowa's not losing 5 games, that schedule. That's a slam dunk bet right there. If you get 7.5, 8's okay, I get it. But 7.5, I feel pretty good about it.
Keep Chopping says Pennsylvania polka is king. There you go.
There we go.
My grandpa was a polka fan. I never understood it. Your song sounded like a polka song to me. How do you get polka out of this? This is funky guitar.
They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. And they've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. And they've been sucking you.
That's a
Gosh.
funky guitar. So I think we're gonna wrap it up here, guys. You have anything you want to parting words you want to say?
Yeah, the Big Ten is absolutely loaded this year. And even going through this exercise and putting together the tier maker list, it just shows you how many good squads there are. Like those B and C squads are really good football teams. I think that Wisconsin's still going to be a dark horse. I know everyone's saying no chance, no chance. I just think there's just something with that. It feels like a special season for the Badgers. I think they're going to go get a little momentum going into next season too. So we'll see what happens with it. Iowa is the slam dunk play though for the win total. So hit that, Iowa. We're going to probably hit that on this channel and stuff when we place our bet. That's certainly going to be one of the couple we're going to look at.
Yep, definitely. So again, if you're watching on demand, go ahead and drop a comment down below what you would place your bet on. Let us know some good prop bets too. Prop bets are always fun. We might do on Fridays, we might do like a $5 bet of the week.
We have to do that.
We'll do 100%. That, and then at the end of the year, we'll see how we do on it. So
what we need to do though is we need to throw it out to the community and make like a comprehensive vote, and then we'll see on the Tuesday show. We'll report back. You can do it on Moan After Dark on Sunday.
Yeah,
Moan After Dark's perfect.
We'll do that. Let's think about that, guys. Start putting some thought into that, and I will see you guys on Sunday for Moan After Dark. Again, Big Ten Ted is our guest on Sunday. Rock and Rant will be there as well, and peace out.
Go Utes.
Go Bucks.